Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new standards of excellence.
Yes.
Say yes to engaging reportage with a difference.
Yes.
Introducing Yes International Magazine. The time to say yes to your dreams and aspirations is here.
Welcome to another Instagram live session. My name is Azu Arinze. It hasn't changed, and my guest tonight is Mr. Femi Odugbemi. Mr. Odugbemi, as far as I'm concerned, is one of Nigeria's most respected filmmakers, screenwriter, and cinematographer. He's also a director and producer, as well as a photographer. Tonight, we'll be discussing the business of filmmaking. And I'm looking forward to a beautiful and fruitful interactive session with him. Now, for those who do not know much about him, he was born in Lagos in 1963. He attended Montana State University, where he read film and television production. He worked briefly at the Nigerian Television Authority and also Lintas Advertising, as well as McCann Erickson. And his impact, we have felt his impact in Tinsel, which you all will agree with me, is one of the most successful television drama from our shows, in recent times. Yeah. Now, among his popular works, we have Bariga Boys, and that's the multiple award-winning documentary. We also have, I've talked about Tinsel earlier on. We have Battleground, we have The Eve, we have Fourth Estate, we have Abobaku, we have Mama Put, we have Morocco, we have Oriki, and The Chain Was Not, among others. Tonight we'll be discussing with him on what it takes, to survive and succeed in the business of filmmaking. Now, my first question, can I go ahead?
Please, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. First, I need you to tell us the difference between a film and a documentary. I have found out that most people find it difficult to differentiate between both of them. So what is the difference between a film and a documentary?
Well, one is fiction, one is non-fiction. One is drama. One is created, the beginning to the end. The other is issue-based. It's reality. It's facts-based. So the major difference is that documentary is at once fact and then truth, and it's the characters are real, the issues are real, the conflicts are real. For non-fiction film, for fiction film, everything is imagined. Someone created it. They know the beginning to the end. But documentary is different. It's different because it has a way in which it seeks questions. It asks questions. And I also think beyond entertainment, documentary is powerful because it creates change. It causes people to think. There are many fiction films that you watch and are based on history or reality or something that all of us are familiar with, but it's not the same as when a documentary actually does the same subject, because documentary takes the what, where, how, when, and it adds the most important one, which is why. And I think that's why I think it's such an important genre of cinema, especially in a country like ours, where all of us have a lot of questions. All of us, questions about history, about politics, about governance. We are looking for meaning. We're looking for understanding, and I think documentaries come in very handy to help us navigate those issues in a way that that gives us all insight. It does not make it any better or worse than, or any better or any harder or easier than fiction film. They're just different.
Wow. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to find out from you, what got you interested in your line of business? The fascination, the attraction, what triggered it? What necessitated it?
Well, frankly speaking, I mean, I grew up in Lagos. I grew up at, I was born in Mushin area, Fadei, Ayonuga. It's right by the railway lines, and the Lagos of the 60s and 70s, the major entertainment was either you were playing on the streets or you were going to the cinemas. And there were all these little cinemas in different neighborhoods. And there was a cinema behind my school in Surulere, Super Cinema at the time. And we all, basically, when we were not playing, we were watching Indian and Chinese films. And I think that's really where my first understanding of the power of storytelling came from. The idea that, your world gets expanded through films. And I think, I was bitten by the bug at that point, and I always knew I was going to be in the business of storytelling. Of course, I also knew that I was not a very good actor, so it was the only options available to me, given my limited talent, was to try and be behind the camera. But I found that I loved it as well, so I'm very happy.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Is very hard work. One of our best actors is actually on this call. I saw him just now,
Okay.
Yeah, Benga is here. The great comedy boss. He's actually he's trolling. That's what he's doing. But he will tell you how hard it is to be an actor. So I'm not doing that.
I like that. I like it. Now, what are the attributes of a good documentary?
Well, documentary is really all about research. I think that's really the most important part of it. That you have a full understanding of not just what happened, but the characters, the people that were there when it happened. What documentary actually tries to do is locate the truth. Facts, we get facts from daily news. There's always the facts of what happened, where it happened, when it happened, to who it happened. But the why it happened is the critical part, because unless we know why it happened, it continues to happen again and again. History repeats itself. And research is really the key in documentary, because research locates exactly when it had happened before, why it had happened before, and the circumstances in which it happened. For me, that's the first thing. Research, it must be strong. But documentary is also storytelling. So the same rules. You have to be character-led. You have to be entertaining. You have to be suspenseful. You have to figure out a way to tell a story that keeps people there. But you have to do it truthfully. That's it.
I like that. Now, but for you, what makes a good film?
Ha! Okay. Well, I was warned by our mutual friend that you are full of dangerous questions. Okay, so we'll notch that up as the first one. What makes a good film? A great
Thank you.
story. A great story.
All right.
I think we go to the cinema to watch a great story well told. And that's simplifying something that has many levels to unpack. I think that the first thing is that when we go to a cinema, we want to encounter characters that are, in a world that we may or may not be familiar with, but who are confronting issues that give us pause, allow us to look at how the human nature and how, the unpredictability of life itself, broken into about segment, and to watch a character, a human being like us, confront something that might be, a bit complicated, a bit complex, and to see how they go through it and how they come out at the end. We want to be entertained. We want to gain an insight. We want to leave the cinema, reflecting. But we want to confront an untold story. For me, that's really the most important thing, is that we honor the fact that an audience is paying money and allocating their attention for a period of their life, 1 hour, 30 minutes or more, to actually pay attention to a story we want to tell. That's why it gets frustrating when the audience seems to know the answer before the end, or when the audience thinks this is not probable, this is stupid, this is idiotic. That's when it gets really frustrating. So a storyteller is not just someone who wants to tell a story they like. They want to tell a story that is strong enough, deep enough, complex enough that people who come to watch feel like their money and their time has been well spent. And for me, I remind my own students all the time, remember that in the audience are people who are older than you, who have lived longer than you, who know the world of your story better than you, who sometimes, they've lived longer. They know what works, what doesn't, and they know the dynamics of human relationships. And so for you, regardless of your age as a filmmaker, you have to not only know your story, you have to research your story, you have to invest a lot of rigor in your story, because that's the only way you actually honor, the audience and their time and their money. So that when they leave the theater, they actually have learned something new, apart from laughing or being delighted. They have to be entertained. But it would be a worthless use of their time if all they did was laugh for 1.5 hours, because they can do that without coming to a cinema and turning off the lights. So the filmmaker is a as well. The filmmaker is a social philosopher. The filmmaker has to be someone who's quite deep, who is reflective, who is connected to culture, who is connected, who reads a lot, who is loaded. So we demean the role when we simply think that, a filmmaker is someone who can handle a camera. The camera is a tool. The content is the key. There is an audience that goes into a cinema and actually wonders what kind of camera was used. No, they can come there for the content. And for me, that focus on the story itself, the idea that I don't get an idea in the morning and by the evening I want to go and shoot, is how I honor, and it's also why you put together performers of excellence, people with talent. Not just, you don't just grab your friends to come and act. You try and be sure that, the story and the role fits. All of this is not because you want to work harder or you want to, it's because you honor those who patronize what you're doing.
I love that. I love that. Now, Ebo, you must agree, or you will agree with me. Let me not say must. You will agree with me that usually documentaries and films usually begin their journeys, with a script. What constitutes a good script?
Call that strike two. It's not possible.
Thanks, Ebo.
But I mean, I am part of the Multi-Choice Talent Factory. You probably know that. And
yeah, I do.
Spend 9 months trying to deal with what makes a good story, what makes a good script. Obviously, if we need up to 9 months to do it, it's very hard to kind of try and, but I'll try. I think a script is not words on paper. A script is the detail of actions, visions, understanding of the storytelling algorithm. Before a script is written, there are many pieces of paper that need to go ahead of it in terms of design. And I think that's really what people miss, is that before you get to a script, you have to have a story designed. You have to have, character designs. You have to have a Bible, a story Bible that details the world of your story, that details the research, that kind of deepens the conflicts that you're about to explore. You need to communicate a production design that has, what the look and feel of this is. All of that, for me, are actually far more important than a script. So often, I ask young writers who think that talent is enough and they just write from their mind and they come, 100 pages of words. And they demand that I read it. And I'm always really quite not so keen, for the simple reason that often they think that the script is the story. Because there are many stories by great storytellers that are actually written by scriptwriters, that are scriptwriters and screenwriters who are technicians at this. They're really very good at this. It's a professional work. It's not something that everyone that has an idea can honestly do to a level of excellence. And I think that in the end is the blueprint. To rush through that, to simply put anything down on paper or not, it just makes the whole process itself a very high mountain to climb. Now, there are people who have more talent than I would ever have, who can come up with a story without a script. There are those who have been able to shoot films without a script at all, or shoot films with 5 pages of script and they do part 1, 2, 3. There are all those, and you have to respect that other people have their processes. I'm just saying that the path that you would call best practices, or the path that you think is a conveyor belt that can guarantee a certain answer each time, every time, is the path that we try to teach young filmmakers, so that they kind of standardize what they're doing, and there is no need for magical realism, magical imaginations, or only one person knowing what the story is about. It sort of empowers everybody along the food chain, such that they not only have a script, they know the story. And because the stories are about characters, there is no way that you can write everything in a script that a character needs to show. And which is why, for me, the industry is in a bit of a crisis when, actors begin to refer to themselves as role interpreters. It immediately suggests the absence of a director. Because if I have 10 role interpreters who are all interpreting roles the way they want it, we would have 10.
You no longer need the services of a director.
Why do you need a director? So a film is the vision of a director.
God.
So a director is not a guy standing behind a camera. A director is not the one who decides where you want to plant a camera, because there's a difference between facilitating a video coverage of a performance and actually directing a performance. And our industry needs to begin to honor and direct and honor directors, proper directors. Honor them. It does not diminish the role of the performer, because the acting, as I've told you, is hard work. But the reason they become role interpreters is because the directors are lazy. They're not giving them any information beyond the script, which is why it's so important. And because we're doing things at such a breakneck speed, there's a lot of films that you can easily tell that the director and the filmmaker and the filmmaker and the actors met for the first time on location. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. So really, I say all of that to say, the script is important. The story is far more important. The script is not about words. The script is really a concise understanding of what happens scene by scene. And what happens scene by scene cannot just be people talking. It has to be, if it was just people talking, that would be radio. If it is film, it's what they're doing that we see. So it's about the ball, it's about gestures, it's about movement, it's about blocking, a scene. It's about, where is the suspense, where is the surprise. It's about how many pages before the next cliffhanger. That's why I say if you're trained in script writing, you would be a technician. You would understand what are the best practices in creating a script, and not just, writing down a torrent of words. So yeah, there's a lot that we need to learn there, and that's really what we are trying to do at the Multi-Choice Talent Factory, is to give people the technical skills, the algorithm for this, such that whatever talent they have is enhanced by them knowing what structure is, what storytelling, process is.
Thank you. Now, to become a good script writer, what must one do?
Go to school.
Okay.
I find that there's a reason why even people who are great storytellers feel an obligation to learn. There's a lot to learn. In any subject matter in the world, there is no one that is able to simply walk into anything and be the best at that thing. This is 2021. Every profession in the world has what you will call global best practices. You can choose to do it your own way, but you're not going to be the best that you can be at it. And so I tend to say to writers, storytellers, get educated. Education does not mean going to school. There is self-education as well. Online, for instance, there can't be, I mean, there's over 100 sites of tutorials of how to in script writing. You can go there, download stuff, learn it, practice, practice, practice. You need also to have mentors. Find people who are great at the kind of work you think you're talented to do, and see if you can actually apprentice under them. Let them give you a bit of guidance. Because what you learn in book, what you find in the industry, or what the demands of the businesses are not always the same. There's always something that's not in the book, that's out there that you get through experience, which is why mentors are important. But the final thing for me is, you know, work to learn before you work to earn. A lot of people, I've had young people send me, you know, 40-page script and you know, send me an email saying it's 1 million naira. I have not even told you if I like the story. I already know the script is not enough because it's very thin. But you decide how much you want, even though you don't even know what is the average price for a script in the industry. So you need to focus on learning, on building networks. You need to focus on practice, writing a lot, and, you know, try to build a filmography. That to me would be what I would say, you know, to young people. Get out of the mentality of competition. Creativity is not competition, and I say this all the time, but it's kind of difficult in the social media world to convince young people that competition really is not necessary. It doesn't help your growth, because often you tend to compete, or at least start to show, you know, the gestures of competition with people you need to teach you what to do. And you know, it's a difficult thing because we're in an industry where there are no seniors. I mean, there's no senior writer. There's no senior colleague really, because you can make your first film, it can be great, and the 30-year veteran can make a lousy film. So really, in the end, it's not about seniority. I learn a lot from young people all the time, and I think the important thing is to have a mindset of constantly learning, because our industry is very dynamic. It's always changing. And of course, if you're going to be a filmmaker, a writer, or whatever, you need to know that the history of film is over 100 years old. So you need to also learn. You need to watch a lot of films. You need to look at the different genres. You need to look at other writers. You need to watch other people's films. You need to be honestly happy when another person does a great work, rather than trying to prove your own worth by criticizing what's not good in it. Those are the things that tend to attract young people in the business. But
Wow. Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful.